Hey everyone, this is Jamie at Open Book English. Today we're going to talk about Google Translate and how to use it correctly. Because it is very useful actually for learning languages, but you need to be careful and avoid certain dangers. So, first, you don't want to rely on Google Translate. You want to use it as a tool to expand your language ability, but when you use it, try to think, okay, if it's a phrase, why does that translate like this? Oh, okay. Or if it's just a word, okay, say the word out loud 3 times, or in your head if there are people around and you're embarrassed. Maybe close your eyes. Okay. How do you spell it? Right? It's a good idea to write words and phrases down somewhere. This will definitely improve your memory. You will remember it more easily. That has been proven. So now it is very convenient. So when you're learning a language, you really need lots and lots of practice. So even if you're taking classes, you should and you need to use the language throughout the day in your normal life. You need to live in the language. That's how you will become fluent. So I'm going to give you 3 ways that Google Translate can help you get all this practice. So first, just as you're walking around or doing whatever, you can think to yourself or talk to yourself in English. So if you see a tree and you say, that's a pretty tree, you could say that in the language you are studying. For me, I might say that in French. So, cet arbre est joli. Okay, easy. And then maybe I want to say something and, I don't know how to say that. There's a missing word or a missing phrase. I can just fill it with English. That's fine, and just keep using the language. But if I have my phone on me, I can pull it out and translate and fill in the gap. Right, good. Or if I don't have time, I can write a note in my phone and translate it later. The second thing you can do is talking with someone. So if you have a friend who wants to improve their English or who just speaks English, you can talk to them in English and use Google Translate to help you. So maybe even if only 5 or 10% or 50% of the sentences are in English, that's still helping you. That's improving your English. Even if you can make it a joke, even if they don't reply to you, you can just keep talking to them in English. It'll be good for them also. They'll understand English more. And as you're doing that, you can say, how do you say that? Pull out Google Translate. And the third way, very similar, is texting or messaging people. So you can, if you have a friend who's learning English, or who speaks English, you can email them, text them, message them, either entirely in English or just partially in English. And you can use Google Translate to help you with that. So yes, I do this with Irish. I'm also learning. And me and a friend, we message each other, and I'm pretty sure a lot of it, both of us are using Google Translate. I know I am. However, I'm also processing it and remembering it. How does that work? And okay, starting to get more familiar with the language. And it's fun. It allows you to use the language and get addicted to learning it, even when you're at a low level. So what about right, so next is pronunciation. So Google Translate for English, there's a pronunciation button that can help you learn how to pronounce words, even if the voice is a little bit robotic. Other languages, you can copy and paste the translation if Google doesn't have it, onto like some website and you can hear the audio. Finally, grammar. So Google Translate can help you improve your grammar, not just your vocabulary. So it's all about pattern recognition. So noticing what is similar and what is different. So maybe I want to say, I need to eat. And I want to say this in French. So I translate it. Maybe I think, oh yeah, it's je, need, besoin, to eat, manger. But when I check and I put it in Google, it says j'ai besoin de manger. So, oh, there is an et and de added. Oh, I had no idea. So if you don't know what the new words are, you can copy them, translate them. Oh, okay. So it literally means I have need of to eat. Okay. That's weird. So that is the correct translation. So often languages cannot be directly translated word for word. The same idea is what you are translating. The words aren't very important. You want to use the correct way that the locals use the language. So I can then say, interesting, de, and then the verb. What if I change the verb? Is it always de, or is it only some verbs? So I change eat, manger, with walk. I need to walk. And now it's still de marcher. Okay. So always you have de with the verbs. I go through more verbs. Always they use de. And then maybe I wonder, what if it's a noun? Like, I need a car. Not I need to do something, but I need a car. And I translate it, j'ai besoin d'une voiture. Still there is the de. Okay, so I'm learning the pattern. I'm learning the grammar. You can change the subject. Instead of I, maybe she or they. You can change instead of need, maybe want. And you can start to notice what changes and what doesn't. And you can learn grammar without a teacher. Now, that's all wonderful, but what about the problems or the things to watch out for with Google Translate? So I'm going to talk about 5 things. So there are 5 situations where it is more likely that Google will make a mistake, because it will just do a direct translation. So if Google doesn't know how to translate something, it'll just go, okay, translate this word, translate that word, these 3 words, I can translate them, I know that. The next one word, translate it. So you end up with a translation which is not the correct meaning of the total sentence. So situation 1, where this is more likely, that it won't necessarily happen, but it's more likely and you should pay attention, be careful. 1, if you have a long sentence, Google is best at translating small chunks. It finds it difficult to know where one chunk ends and the next begins. Humans, naturally, we can do this based on the context quite easily. Google, not so much. So you can, if you want, you can type out a full paragraph and then copy it, delete most of it, and just translate the chunks. And then maybe, put a few chunks together and just start to notice how the meaning changes. Make sure it's not going crazy. Right? So it's the solution, try to keep it to small chunks for translations. It works better. So instead of I need to go to the shops to find a shirt, let's start with I need to and verb, and then start adding other things. The second situation where a mistake is more likely is if you have an unusual word or phrase. So especially if it is an idiom, like hats off to you, my good sir, meaning like, good job, like that's impressive, I admire you. Hats off is very unlikely to be the same phrase in another language. Or open your mind. When you say open your mind, you mean think about it. Don't just assume you have the answer already. Consider a different perspective. But we don't literally mean cut open your brain, right? So probably Google will just give you the direct literal translation, which is probably wrong. Probably in the other language, open your mind would be something like see it anew, or feel the happy way, or something. We don't know. It might be totally different. So if you are using idioms or less common vocabulary, it's a good idea. The solution is to use different synonyms to just double check that the meaning is the same. Take one of the words in your sentence and replace it with a similar word, with a similar meaning or the same meaning. And the answer should stay the same or be similar. And maybe you could replace whole phrases with similar meaning phrases. If the answer changes totally, okay, you have a problem. 3, if your language is not very common, so you speak a language that is not spoken very much around the world, it's more likely Google will have a problem. So also, if you speak a language that is very different from English or whatever you are translating into, it's more likely Google will have a problem. It's harder to do translations. So in both of those situations, just be aware that it's more likely there will be a problem. And yeah. Now, number 5 is homonyms. So a homonym is a word that has more than one meaning. So there are more than one meaning to a word. It has homonyms. So sometimes, so for example, maybe the word to, in T-O-O. In English, that has 2 meanings. It could mean not good. Like, oh, this video is too long. I know, I'm trying to keep it short. Or this food is too cold. I don't like it. I want warm food. But the second meaning is also. Like, I love ice cream. Oh, me too. Me also. So that's a totally different meaning. So Google might choose the wrong homonym in the translation. So just if you want to check, when you're doing a translation, just check, do any of these words have homonyms? So maybe I'm translating, this food is too cold into French. Too. There's more than one meaning of that word. Okay, just to make sure Google is not confused, I would change this to also cold. This food is also cold. Now, if the answer also changes, the translation also changes, okay, good. Google knows the difference. If it stays the same, probably Google thinks my 2 sentences had the same meaning, and therefore you have a problem. So for example, in French, too cold and like not good should be trop froid. And also cold will become aussi froid. So, okay, good. Google knows the difference. Therefore, my first translation is good. However, it is possible, especially if the 2 languages are closely related, like French and English, it is possible you can have 2 words, like, for example, just and juste. French, English and French. Just and juste. Where they have 3 different meanings, 3 homonyms, and the translation is the same. Just, juste. So that is possible. But in general, if you change the word to, instead of to, I'll say also, because it's a homonym, if the translation stays the same, it's a red light. Possibly a problem here. Now, any of these 5 situations, or any time you think, I think there's a mistake going on, just write it down. Write a note somewhere, and you can ask a friend about it, ask a teacher, go online and look it up on a forum, or post a comment under this video and I will reply, or maybe even make a video about it. This way you can continue to use Google Translate, because it is very useful and it can really help you improve your English or any language. But you just need to be mindful of the correct way to use it. Otherwise, you're going to be saying some crazy stuff. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you liked it, please click the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you would like more videos like this. Share it with a friend if you know someone who could benefit from it. And post a comment if you have requests for videos or anything to say. So thanks everyone. See you next time.